So it's July of 1974, right? And
Okay,
this
we're straight in. We're right in. Fucking hell, all right. Let me just July of I'm there. Okay.
you're with me. It's July of
Yep.
1974. And this little girl is out playing in Provincetown, Massachusetts, which is out on the Cape Cod. It is now, yeah, go ahead.
Give me a little bit more context as to what kind of place that might be, because
Yes.
I don't have any frame of reference.
Okay.
So what are we talking? Is it an industrial? Is it a suburb? What is it?
Well, you have seen the film Jaws.
Most certainly.
This is what we're talking about. That
Okay,
was filmed in and around Cape Cod in Massachusetts. So
Okay, great.
beach area. Yeah,
I'm
that's
there. I'm in
yeah.
1974.
1974, we're out at the beach, Provincetown, Massachusetts, a town that most people think of really mostly as like a gay mecca. That's what it's known for. It's like a cool place to party if you are gay. That is the legacy of Provincetown. But
And would it have
has
been in
some
1974? Would it have been in that time too? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it would have as well. But it has some seedier elements to it. In fact, there's a current show on Stars called Hightown, starring my man James Badgedale, that is about the seedy underbelly of that area. But
2 minutes and 58 seconds.
he had to make it in here somehow. It was going to happen.
Nice. Real nice.
But it's 1974, and a little girl is with her family on the beach, going through the sand dunes with some family friends, and their dogs. And her dog runs off into the dunes, and she's like, "Oh!" She goes and she chases after it. This 12-year-old girl. And where does her sweet doggo lead her, do you think, Mark?
I am guessing dog has picked up a scent. I'm guessing the dog has something in its snout. I'm guessing that dog is on the trail of something tasty, maybe.
What might be in that doggo's snout?
I'm thinking of what podcast we're on here, and it's going to be a corpse, isn't it?
It's a corpse. It is definitely
ding,
a
ding,
corpse.
ding, 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 ding.
Yes, the little doggo leads our poor 12-year-old to the body of a woman that is out sort of away from the path, away from the road, not where you would just sort of like stumble upon it generally, but just sort of, not super far, where she ran after this dog and found this body. The body is nude. It's lying face down on a beach towel, nearly decapitated, and the left side of her head is completely crushed.
Wow.
So yeah, big time blunt force trauma happening here. Her hands have been cut off. And not only that, in the place of the hands, the murderer has put some piled up pine needles, like some sort of weird, grotesque scarecrow. Which is neat. While some of her teeth were missing, it was clear she'd had lots of expensive dental work before this. For some reason, every article you read about this, I don't know who said it in the first place, but apparently it was referred to as New York style dentistry. I don't know why. I guess people in New York have expensive teeth. But every article will bring up New York style dentistry. And this, what we do know is that there was like tens of thousands of dollars worth of work done in this person's mouth, including like gold crowns. Right. So this is not like a total rando, like this is not a broke person, anything like this. This is someone who can afford to like get their shit taken care of. So that's what they find. And her head was resting on a pair of folded up Wranglers and a blue bandana.
Her own,
as far as we know. Yeah.
Okay.
So the woman's thought to have been between 25 and 35 years old. She was around 5'6", 145 pounds, with an athletic build and auburn hair pulled back into a ponytail. It's thought that she might have been asleep when she was murdered because of the way that she was lying on the towel. Like, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like you lay out, she was away from the path so that people could see her like nude sunbathing. And she's lying there with like her head on her jeans and her bandana on a towel. So it's, they think that she might have been asleep whenever this happened. But they go through all the like missing persons reports for the area. And it's 1974, so it's not like they just like get on the internet and they're like, hey, let's see the entire database for the United States or whatever. Limited amount of places that they could look in this missing persons database, but they look. And nobody comes up in this database who meets the description of this woman. Over the years, a few leads came in. Like, a woman thought that it might be her sister because her sister had like gone missing around Boston around that time and had auburn hair, but that lead didn't seem to go anywhere. There was a woman in Canada who thought she might have been a woman she saw her father strangle while visiting in Provincetown when she was 5 years old, which raises a lot of questions in and of itself.
Not going to touch that.
But for some reason, by the time they got back to this woman about this, she'd moved. So they lost that lead as well. I will say it doesn't really sound like that's what happened here. But
no, certainly not. Are you telling me that the victim has never been identified? Is that what we're saying?
Right. So also they thought that it might be a drug dealer and bank robber named Rory Jean Kessinger, who had escaped from jail nearby and disappeared around the same time. But they took DNA from Kessinger's mom, and there was no like relative match with this person. So yeah, no one has ever been able to identify for sure who this woman was or who murdered her. One guy confessed many years later, but he was a paranoid schizophrenic, and the cops couldn't find any evidence that actually like linked him to this. So it's not,
Lots of really interesting stuff here. I mean, that's some Hannibal shit. You know, you saw Hannibal, the show Hannibal, having the fucking hands cut off, pine needles arranged where the stump should be. That's that's somebody taking the time to arrange the scene to their own, this is my design type shit, isn't it?
That's the thing, is that it isn't like straightforward in any way. Like, if this is just, someone happened by and it was a crime of opportunity, that's a weird thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Cut off the hands and put pine needles. But like, also, what does that mean? Like, is this a serial killer? Did they do this to anyone else that hasn't come up as an MO on other crimes? If it was someone who knew her, why? Like, there's nothing about the crime itself that really lends to solutions here. And people also thought it might have been the legendary Boston crime boss, Whitey Bulger, because he was known for disfiguring corpses and whatnot to make it so that you couldn't recognize them afterwards. And taking teeth out was certainly not something he would have shied away from, along with
very
cutting
much
off
part
the
of my
hands.
MO. As outlined last week. That's
exactly.
Absolutely what I would be doing.
Yeah, but that's pretty standard.
Although plenty of people have weighed in that my method of murder, as outlined last week, was shite, to quote one fucking commenter. So, all right, back to the drawing board for me then.
Yeah, you didn't get great feedback on that. Listen, you need to watch more true crime before you really tackle this, but you tried.
Okay.
But yeah, so also Whitey Bulger was known to hang out at a local Provincetown bar that was called the Crown and Anchor. And supposedly he might have been seen with a woman who looked kind of like this, but it's also like, it's not a super uncommon description of a woman in Eastern Massachusetts. So, who knows? But there is one very interesting theory about her identity that was put forth in 2015 by none other than Joe Hill. Are you familiar with Joe Hill?
Stephen King's son.
Stephen King's son, the author, screenwriter, Joe Hill. I'm going to send you something in your text right now for you to look at. Downloads. All right.
I've never read any of his stuff, by the way. Is he any good?
I've read some of his short stories and quite enjoyed them. So I think I might have read one of his actual books. Anyways, why don't you describe the picture? Yeah. Why don't you describe that picture that I've just sent to you?
What I'm seeing here is a picture. It looks like maybe a boardwalk or a pier. Yes. It is very crowded. It's clearly summertime. There are people in various kind of summer attire, shorts, summer dresses. There's a child on what I can assume is his father's shoulders.
Yes. All right. Before you go any further,
okay,
let me tell you what this actually is.
Please do.
This right here is a screenshot from the 1975 film Jaws.
I thought I recognized the woman in the bandana on the left-hand side of the frame. Yes.
You catch the woman. I could not have planned that better. That was incredible. What did you just recognize, Mark?
Lady in the Wranglers and the blue bandana on the left-hand side of the frame. Oh, shit.
In the left-hand side of this frame, in this crowd shot, which I will post in the blog, we'll post on the Twitter as well, is a woman.
Bravo, Carmen.
A blue bandana and a pair of jeans, loosely meeting the description of the body that was found in the dunes, as well as over time they've done various sort of like, you know, when kids go missing and they like age enhance them and things like that.
They always look fucking terrible.
Yeah, they do. But they've done that with the face of the Lady of the Dunes many times over the years as that technology has sort of, you know, gotten better and whatnot. And this extra in Jaws happens to look a whole lot like the reconstructions that they've done of the Lady of the Dunes. And when did Jaws film? The summer of 1974. And where? Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Exactly where this woman was found. So obviously, you know, well, they tried to figure out if this was her. And the woman who was I saw this in a documentary or something somewhere, the woman who was the casting director at the time, like they were like, do you have records of this?
Surely they would.
She actually thought she might, but when they went, I mean, it's been, you know, 40 something, nearly 50 years since that movie came out. And any records that there might have been of who the extras were, it's completely lost at this point. It's just not like an important thing that you would have kept.
Yeah, of course.
So she didn't have any records of who this lady might have been. I think it's interesting that as this has circulated, no one has come out and been like, no, that's me, or that's my grandmother, or something like that, right? Like nobody's looked at that picture and been like, no, I actually know her. And so, you know, that's something in and of itself. So it's a tenuous link, of course. Like it's, you know, it's not necessarily proof per se, but it is kind of interesting.
It stacks up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting that, hey, every time we watch Jaws, we may be watching amongst the last moments of the life of the Lady of the Dunes.
Incredible. How do I not know about this? Well, now I do.
Now you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that couldn't have gone any better, that reveal.
Oh my God, that was incredible. Holy cow. That clip is definitely going on our Twitter right there. Yeah, I recognize the woman in the bandana. Oh shit.
Very nicely done.